Good morning, I'm Bradley Madsen and welcome to my workbench. We thought it would be nice for you to join us here this Sunday morning to talk about one of the children's sermon series that we were doing during the season of Lent during our time together before we had to spend so much time apart. So I want to welcome you here to our time together to continue the project that we were doing. Lent is about the work of building. The work of building that God does to make a new creation where new life can begin. It's about preparing for resurrection. And so one of the best projects that we can come up with for woodworking is a nesting box. So during our time together, our children and I started to make a nesting box because this is the work of building for new life to begin. So what I wanted to do was continue that work together so that we could have a sense of doing it together even though that we're apart. So there are a few things that we need to keep in mind. A new creation is about love. The act of making something new is about love. During our time together as a congregation, when I put my thumb up, we would say love, and I put my index finger up, we would say again. So a new creation is an act of love and love again. So let's see if we can remember the whole thing together. Creation is about love, and making a new creation is about love and love again. With God, there is always love again. And so to make a new creation, we did it in a couple of different steps. The first was, for a new creation, you need a new pattern. And so what we did is we laid out a pattern with the children for a one-board birdhouse. We cut all of the pieces together right here on my demonstration workbench using a Western tenon saw, cuts on the push, and the children cut all of these pieces. Well, what I did is I went ahead and got these pieces ready here and began to do assembly. So here's the back and the sides of our new creation, and we're going to finish it today. So step one was follow a new pattern. Step two was to create new pieces. Step three is come together in a new way. In order to do that, we have a couple of things that we need to do first. The first thing is, if you're going to make a new creation, you need to sand off the rough edges, and there's a spiritual lesson to that. So I'm going to take my sanding block here and just take off some of the rough edges. This is Western red cedar, and we picked cedar for a special reason. Cedar is a wood that shows up in the Bible a lot, actually in the building of the temple. In the 4th year of the reign of King Solomon, when the new temple was built, he commissioned a large expedition to go get cedar. So if it's good enough for Solomon, and it's good enough for the temple, it's good enough for us. So we're going to make our temple for birds out of cedar. Now, we sand off the rough edges, and there's a spiritual lesson in that. Then we need a fresh start in order to give a nice fresh edge for the glue to really hold the seams together. So to give myself a fresh edge, I'm going to use my Stanley No. 5 hand plane. This hand plane is about 60 years old. I like to restore old tools. And to give you the idea of how these evolved over time, this is a hand plane. It's about as old as the Episcopal Church, actually. It's a colonial era hand plane. This technology has existed since before the time of Jesus. So if you're making a new creation and you want a fresh start, sometimes you need some ancient wisdom. So I'm going to take this, balance this on the top edge, and just take a shaving here. Take a shaving here. So my glue really holds together, and look at that. That is thinner than paper. I'm going to take a little bit of glue and then talk about the last thing that we have to keep in mind on our third step. So we sand off the rough edges, we give ourselves a fresh start, and we need to have our hearts out. Trees are round and boards are flat and square. The natural curve of the wood starts to come back when trees and wood get wet, right? When old wood gets wet. So what we want to do is we want to have the heartwood of the tree facing out. So as the wood cups naturally, it actually reinforces the seam, not pull it apart. So sand off the rough edges, fresh start, hearts out. So I'm going to balance this here on top. We're going to put our front on. To save some time, I'm going to use my power drill here. Go ahead and put in 4 nice brass screws. And these are good because they're excellent for all this outdoor exposure. Brass holds up beautifully. So we can use all of the naturally created beauty of this material, all taken from creation, to make a new one. Perfect. All right, then I'm going to face this towards you so you can see what I'm doing here. You'll notice our children cut this with a small notch, and that's for some added ventilation for our family of chickadees we're hoping for. We're going to put a little bit more glue here. And then take our roof. Hide me under the shadow of your wings, right? Nice and safe in there for our new life now. And just 4 more screws, quickly in the top, with a nice overhang so that our baby birds will be safe from water coming in. And our final step, we will live into the new creation so that our creation is nice and secure and can find a fresh start for new life to begin. So let's remember what we learned during our time together. For a new creation, you start with a new pattern. Then you make new pieces. Then you come together in a new way. And then you live into a new future. This creation is an act of love. And making a new creation is an act of love and love again. With God, there is always love again. I'm so glad we had this time together. Stay safe out there, and God bless.